युअर व्हिडिओ इजंट वर्किंग. वी कुडंट ॲक्सेस युअर कॅमेरा असं येत आहे. मग काय करू? हां केलं मी. हो. प्रेझेंटर केले. Hello everyone. Am I audible? Catherine, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, Shreya, you're audible.
Thanks. So we'll start our session at 3 o'clock. Let's wait for 5 minutes for more people to join in. Okay, so we'll start. Hello everyone. Welcome to the insightful webinar on understanding packaging compliances in India, regulatory requirement and industry challenges. In this session, Ms. Catherine Benny, our legal expert EHS, will decode the evolving regulatory landscape governing packaging compliances in India. With strong expertise in environmental health and safety, she has practical insights on regulatory interpretations, licensing requirement, and cross-sector compliances obligations. The discussion will be highlighted on packaging compliances going beyond labeling, covering mandatory EPR filing, PCB wastage reporting, and continuous regulatory updates. This webinar will help organizations understand the compliance framework and navigate the practical challenges evolved in meeting India's packaging regulations. So before we start with session, I would request everyone to post your questions in Q&A and those will be addressed after the session is over so that we don't interrupt in between the session. So I hand over the mic to Ms. Catherine now.
Thank you, Shreya. I'll just share my screen. Please let me know when the screen is visible.
Sure.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, your screen is visible. We can see the presentation too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a moment. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Catherine Benny. So today I would like to welcome everyone for today's session, today's webinar on understanding packaging compliances in India, regulatory requirements and industry challenges. So when suppose whether you are a manufacturing food products, electronics, cosmetics, or consumer goods, or any particular goods which requires a packaging or labeling, it isn't just about branding, I would say. It's not anymore branding. There is a complex, multi-layered complex, I mean, multi-layered regulatory minefield where one small mistake, if you miss out labeling a particular details on the packaging, or if you don't follow a standard inclusion of a product standard. Suppose if the packaging requires a specific standards to be met under BIS or any particular regulations, if you miss out on that as well, the cost that is uh, bothering the company is not just on numbers. I would say that is creating a big impact on the brand reputation, and even that might lead to a criminal prosecution level. So today I would like to unpack those regulatory frameworks, explore the real world case scenarios, and discuss how business can shift from reactive firefighting to a proactive compliances. So before going deep into the packaging compliances, I would like to bring your focus on how EHS compliances, being packaging industry, just a moment, yeah, how EHS compliances is a board level risk today. Because if you compare with any other laws, like be it labor laws or fiscal laws, the EHS laws have a big impact over the time period. If you take up the legislative nature also, it is affecting, it is the legislation is focusing both on the consumer level as well as the company level. So public is also an included party in this matter. And with respect to the impact, it's not just impacting your employees in your establishment. It's gonna impact and create a safety issues with respect to public as well as the brand that you have created and uplifted for ages. So that reputation is also at stake with respect to EHS. You don't just have to go to the authority and you have a couple of filings to be done, and you make the compensations, put up the compensations, or your penalties have been cleared. It doesn't end there. The impact that had created parallelly with respect to EHS loss is huge. Your public safety, there might be issues with the public safety, and there might be reputation issues. Your brand is at stake. And if you take up the custodianship also, the with respect to EHS loss, it's scattered like anything. Suppose if you take up your company as well. If I ask you, or you just think from your mind that in your establishment, how is EHS laws or environment health and safety laws are being handled? Is it handled by one particular department? Is it just handled by operations team, or do you have if you have an exclusive team for it, well and good. But just think, if you don't have a team, who is having the owner? Who is the owner in that matter? Like, is it your business operations team handling it, or is that admin team? Sometimes, in few cases, there would be a legal team involved, and in few companies, I could see that EHS laws are handled by the HR employees. And in all these matters, it's scattered like anything. Nobody knows that who is ideally supposed to handle. For fiscal laws, if you see, for commercial and corporate laws, there is a company secretary or maybe a finance team to handle the finance related matters. Even in labor employment, the HR handles the matters. But EHS, then that thing is scattered. There's no one particular department who handles it. Not even one department have the owners or custodianship of that matter. So it's scattered. So that itself creates a multiple liabilities involvement. And with respect to compliance process also, the entire thing is very much dispersed. And when you talk about digital availability, digitized availability, it is very, compared to other laws, it is very less. Now also you have to go to the department physically and get the things out. So the with respect to the process also, it's quite cumbersome, and the risk involved, the nature of the risk involved, it is leaving you up to a criminal prosecution level. It's not is my screen, is my voice audible?
Yeah, yeah, now it is. In between, we lost you for a minute.
Okay. Okay. I'm audible now, right?
Yes, audible. If you can just
Okay.
repeat the last part.
Yes. So what I was saying is, with respect to EHS compliances, the custodianship is scattered like anything. It is not ending with one particular team. If you take up finance level compliances, it is being. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes.
audible.
Yes. So it is not ending up with one particular department. It is scattered like anything. Maybe like if you take up labor laws, it's purely maybe handled by the HR people or a legal team. But if you take up the fiscal law, finance laws, or corporate laws, there is a finance team for your company and even a company secretary. But just think, in your company, who handles the EHS laws? Who is having the ownership or custodianship of these laws and its compliances? Is it handled by a single department? If you have your own EHS team to handle it, well and good. But if you don't think, suppose if you just dissect the departments in your establishment, and when you look in, sometimes this might be handled by multiple people. It is scattered like anything. It might be handled, few compliances would be handled by operations team, few by the admin team, maybe by legal team, and there would be even involvement of company secretaries and HRs in these matters. So it's not in the hands of the experts. That's the point that I would like to point out here. Here, environment safety health and safety laws are not in the hands of the experts. Plus, these are scattered to multiple departments. So the focus is also shifted to multiple departments. And it is extensively dispersed, and with respect to the digitization of the particular laws and the procurement of any licenses, all the compliances, it's extremely scattered. And with respect to the consequences as well, it's not ending with a few pennies. If you just pay off certain penalties, your a few cost is being dispersed off from your establishment, it doesn't end with that. What it goes to a level where there is a criminal prosecution that is coming up. There would be your directors. There are matters where your directors and your managers are getting criminally prosecuted for the issues that has been occurred in your establishment. So just spending few money doesn't settle things under EHS laws. So that's how you would call EHS compliance as a board level risk. It is a discussion that should happen in the front room, like in the board level. This EHS compliance has to be discussed, and this has to be clearly understand. I mean, the entire board members have to have the clear understanding of these compliances and its importance in their establishment, and because of its impact that is gonna cause to your establishment, and the reputation loss that would cost your establishment due to its non-compliance. And now if you dive into the reality check, how scattered is Indian EHS laws are. If you see, EHS laws are scattered like anything. If you take up the matter, it is not just one single loss that is there under EHS laws. There is multiple laws, multiple authorities, and the liability is parallel. When I call it as multiple laws, it's not just one, maybe not even 10 laws that is going to be applicable. It's 150 plus key EHS laws would be applicable to you. And when you take up the regulatory authorities also, it the regulatory authorities is not even single, not just one department who handles all the particular laws or compliances under it. There are multiple regulatory authorities. Like if you call out the name, the Pollution Control Board, the Legal Metrology Department, FSSAI, then BIS, then what else? Legal Metrology. There are multiple like regulatory authorities that is involved in the entire process, and each and every compliances. And by 10 plus regulatory authorities, I'm talking about for one particular unit. For one particular industry or one particular unit, there are 10 plus regulatory authorities involved. And if you take up the compliances that would be applicable to a unit in India would be 500 plus. And by 500 plus, what I mean is about 25 plus licenses, 20 plus renewals, 35 plus returns, and 45 plus registers, 15 plus displays. And when you talk about the specifications and standards, like you're supposed to, you have to follow certain standards under certain regulation, and that count is going up to more than 245 plus. So this is the amount of compliances that one particular establishment has to follow in a particular establishment. And with respect to, if you see the compliance volume, the entire inspection is also increasing in last 2 years. It has increased around 50% in the last 2 years. So here the inspectors enforcement is intensifying, and in the last 2 years alone, as I just mentioned, we have seen a 50% increase in inspections. So regulators are getting more proactive. They're not, they are not laying back. They're not. You can't say that the authorities are not enforcing things properly. So when now they have started enforcement, they are becoming more proactive and more digital and more stringent. So the number of notices that has come out in recent times, if I call out the state of Karnataka itself, for each compliance, for each particular regulations, there are 245 plus notices going out just in a few days time. So this particular report, if you go up to the Karnataka department itself, you will see that the number of notices that is being issued every now and then. So this is how intensified action being taken from the inspector's end. And that's why it is becoming very scary for a lot of establishments, because nowadays even people who have joined for this session also, you might have been receiving notices from here and there, and you would be searching for solutions, going to a consultant, like what we should do, what are the kind of actions we have to take up. So at this point of time, you are doing a kind of a panic decisions or panic. Suppose if you are getting notices due to a particular license renewal, or maybe certain limit discrepancies, or maybe some product seizure, you are getting a panic, you are taking a panic decisions, and that is leading you to a reactive compliance structure. So, so at this point of time, what we have to take up is, why can't we act before rather than bringing up matters at the last moment? So now I would like to dive into the our topic, that is the packaging compliances, how intense the packaging compliances are in India. And if you take up the matter in India, it is as I mentioned, it's a multi-layered compliance framework. Now, if you do go up to, suppose today or a Sunday morning, if somebody wants to get a mango juice from a nearby supermarket, they go to a nearby supermarket and they see they search for a mango juice. Okay, but then they can see anything uh, except mango juice. So there's mango what spread, mango puree, mango syrup, maybe mango pulp also, but not mango juice. So here there is a differences in the product name, even though everything is coming out of mango. And for a layman, if you take up a mango, mango syrup and a mango puree, you might not know what the difference is actually about, like mango puree and mango syrup or mango pulp. What is the actual difference? There is a difference which has been clearly specified under the FSSAI legislation, like with respect to the consistency, with respect to the sugar level, with respect to the process that it has gone to. So for each and every product, maybe a puree, whatever it is, if it's a puree or if it's a mango pulp or mango syrup, all these things have individual processes that it has gone through. That's the main reason it has got those names. And if you are selling out a mango puree, but your product label shows it as mango, uh, suppose if you are selling out a mango juice, but your products is showing as mango syrup. So there is a biggest mislabeling happening. So labeling with respect to the product it itself is very important, because each product have distinguished feature which has set by the food FSSAI authority and under the regulations. So if you're claiming it to be a particular product, what we show, what is being put inside the container, the same thing has to be visible on the label. Suppose if you're selling mango juice, then it has to be written as mango juice on the label. So that's how intense the labeling requirements under FSSAI. And now, suppose if you look forward, few people, suppose if you go to the supermarket and then you find the mango juice, but and on it, if you see a particular or mango puree, you would have seen a mango puree, and it is written as 100%, 100% extracted out of pure mangoes. If that particular claim is being put up as an advertisement on the label, and but when you turn that on to the other side and on the ingredient list, you notice that there would be only 1% of mango, original, the pure mango fruit being included. Then where is that rest of the 99%? So you can't claim something that is not true. So that's the main reason the government have put up a clarification that the word 100% cannot be included if you are not meaning it, because that is a misleading action that has been taken up by. So the consumer gets misled. They feel that, oh, 100% of mango fruit is being put up. My dietitian would be totally happy about it because what I'm having is just the fruit. So that's what, if you are not putting up your thing, I mean, the inside the ingredients, if you're not putting that thing as claimed by you, then please don't add that claim on your label. And other things, whatever ingredients you have mentioned, the exact percentage has to be accordingly provided, and there would be a nutritional information also provided. So there is a whole list of things that you have to focus and focus with respect to the there's a like each labeling requirements is multi-layered, and it's not being regulated by one authority or one regulation. It is being regulated by multiple authorities, multiple regulations, and under multiple under multiple compliances. So these together have to come onto your label and to your product. Suppose if you are manufacturing a product, you should have complied by the compliances stated by all the authorities under all the legislation that is, and under all the compliances that is applicable to your particular product. If you are taking up, suppose if you miss out one particular compliances under one, you have complied by all other things, your product is getting seized, and the labeling cost has to be revised every now and then. Suppose you have done all the labeling beforehand, before one particular authority. Suppose tomorrow FSSAI have issued a labeling requirements, and you have put up a labeling cost, you have successfully completed the labeling, and your product is out in the market, but you missed out doing something that has come out, complying by a labeling requirement under another department, maybe a legal metrology department. Here, what you are at that point of time, if there is an inspection happening and your product is being seized, you can't just say that you have complied by FSSAI. So it's okay if legal metrology is not being complied by. You can't say that. So if you have a product, you should know which all regulatory authorities have a control of over your product, and which all legislations, which all compliances have equal applicability upon your product. So all the compliances have to be met. So that's how the reality is in India. In India, it's a bit complicated, I would say, because it's not one eyes, just like you should have three eyes opened very clearly, looking towards all the compliances and all the legislations towards all the authorities that is applicable to your establishment. So when I say multi-layered compliance framework, I would like to point out how intense is. What are these 4 layers of packaging? Just like packaging, there is a 4 layers of framework involved in the product, in the compliances in under EHS. So when I say the first level, that is the core packaging laws. What are the core packaging laws? If you think from your side, the core packaging laws is it might be applicable to all the pre-packaged foods. So the first law that would come up into your mind is the legal metrology package commodities rules. So this particular compliance, this particular legislation is applicable to all the pre-packaged foods, and there are numerous requirements under this particular legislations. This is the layer one and the very prominent compliances being showcased, being provided by the authority. And this is being led by the legal metrology department. The authorities involved is that. And with respect to a few requirements under legal metrology would be coming up, like you have to comply by the consumer declaration requirements. There are few consumer declaration requirements like MRP, net quantity, manufacturer details, importer details. Suppose if you take up a packet of red chili powder, if you turn towards the back side of it, you will see the MRP rate mentioned, net quantity being mentioned, the manufacturer name, and suppose the brand owner would be somebody else, but the manufacturing would be outsourced. In that case, as well as in the other case also, the manufacturer, whoever is the manufacturer, they're supposed to specify the manufacturer details, their name and address, and the importer details. Suppose if you have imported it, those details have to be provided. And the next set of requirements would be month and year of packaging. Like those are very essential information to the consumers. Like you should know what is the expiry date of that expiry date of that particular product, or the date of the packaging. So all these details have to be clearly mentioned under this legislation. And the consumer care details. In few of the packets, you would see that if there is any ingredients, you're supposed to contact so and so. There is a particular details being provided under each packaging. So those details also have to be clearly provided. And then comes all other requirements like product packaging details and expiry GST details. So all those details have to be clearly provided under legal metrology. So as I mentioned, it is being regulated by the state legal metrology departments. Moving on to the moving on to the next layer of packaging compliances, it's the product specific regulators. Because product specific regulators are for each and every product in India. It is extensive, as I mentioned. There are innumerous products currently existing. It has been, every now and then a new product is being introduced in the market in India. So for each and every product, the government is seeing to that there is a legislation that is existing to control those matters. Even if it's not there, they'll try to bring in those regulations if there is any issues with that. So for each and every product, with respect to the packaging compliances, there is a product specific legislations as well as its regulators. So when I say product specific regulators, you might all know about the FSSAI authority, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. So this particular what Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is handling is for all the food products, for anything that is edible in nature, are being controlled by the Food Safety Standards Act and the regulations and rules framed under that. So under this, there is a particular labeling requirements, packaging compliances that is specific for each and every type of food products, not just very common to all the products. Like for milk, there is a separate set of standards, and for beverages, there is separate standards, and there is for if you call it out the organic food, there is a separate set of standards. So for each and every type of food product also, there is a separate set of regulations and legislations applicable. Then next comes is the drugs, cosmetics, and medical devices. So if you take up this particular act for all the drugs and for all the creams, tablets, any pharmaceutical product and any devices, your glucometer, your every other medical devices that is being used are being regulated by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. And under this, there is a list of legislation that is applicable, that like Drugs and Cosmetics Act and Drugs and Cosmetic Rules, Medical Device Rules. And under this also, there is a separate set of packaging compliances and labeling requirements clearly specified. So it's not just the legal metrology that is covering all the packaging related compliances. That is the core act. Like there you will have the core things, like very commonly understandable things, like there are certain matters which are being handled by the experts. There are certain things which is handled by certain other. So here, when it comes to food related matters, it is being handled by Food Safety and Standards Act. Okay, but with respect to the quantity, the size, and maybe the manufacturing details, which doesn't require, food related experts, that is being brought up under legal metrology department and under legal metrology rules. That's the reason you can see over there MRP details, declaration, GST, then what else? Net quantity, manufacturing details, all those core things which is equally applicable to across all the products are being brought under legal metrology, and for product specific details are being brought under specific legislation under for that particular product. Like for food, it's FSSAI. For drugs, it's Drugs and Cosmetics Act, even for cosmetics. And the next comes the fertilizers and seeds. It's basically handled by the agriculture department. And there's another set, like for insecticides also, there is another set of board and legislations that is handling where the product specific packaging and compliances are being clearly mentioned. Now, if you it's not just ending with this. Like if you take up the electronic items, there are QR codes that has to be set up. Hazardous chemicals also, there are a huge list of requirements under each and every legislation. So for each and every product, there is a particular legislation that is backing up. And now, if we move on to the to give a better understanding of FSSAI related packaging compliances, the first thing is the net quantity. There is a particular net quantity, like just like legal metrology, there is this requirement, and then FSSAI also, net quantity, manufacturer name and address has to be provided. This is given in legal metrology. Manufacture date, best before, use by, or expiry date has to be provided. Then comes the ingredient list. As I mentioned initially as well, every product, if it's edible in nature, you're supposed to provide an ingredient list, like what all are the contents of the particular product. And there is something called nutritional panel. Like you would have seen, if you turn up your product, whatever product it is, it needn't be always a health related food product. Any product, there has to be a nutritional panel for dietary information. There they have to provide the carbohydrates, total sugar, total fat, all those nutrition information have to be clearly provided. Then the allergen declaration. If there is a particular the FSSAI have clearly provided that certain allergy creating contents has to be clearly notified on the labels, like milk, soy, or if there is any particular product, if it is chemical, hazardous in nature, or maybe the limit have crossed, then that particular details also have to be clearly mentioned. And with respect to veg or non-veg logo, you would have seen a green color or a red color logo on the packet as well. In restaurants and all, you would have seen on the menu card. That is also a requirement under FSSAI. But with respect to packaging, even on the packaging, you're supposed to put up that logo stating that if it's veg or non-veg. And another thing is the FSSAI license number. If you have procured the license, then I mean, for every FSSAI related manufacturing unit, you have to procure a license. So you have to put up your license number on the particular product. And storage instructions also, you would have seen in every particular product, you have to see it has to be stored in room temperature or in cool place. Those statements have to be clearly provided under the packages. And country, if it's an imported product, that country of origin, the name of the country has to be clearly specified. And the friend of pack, which is you have to mention that if it's a sugar or saturated fat, you have to mention on the front of the pack that warnings for high content of that foods. This is apart from it, if you see, apart from the declaration on the label, FSSAI also mentions about certain product specifications, product standard, like the packaging material standards, right? Even that it is being clearly mentioned. Like, for example, if it's a mineral water, if you are the manufacturers of mineral water, or suppliers or manufacturers or producers of mineral water bottle, it is very clear from FSSAI that it has to be in a translucent bottle, which is colorless, odorless, and transparent. So all the specifications have clearly mentioned under the FSSAI also. So these are not just it. There, for each and every type of product, even for organic product also, there is a specific requirement of declaring that on the label. So this is the requirement under FSSAI. And now if you move on to the drugs and cosmetics and medical devices under the Drugs Control Authority, first what you have to mention is a product name. For your product, whatever product it is, you have to mention the product name, the manufacturer's name, its address, and the license. Drugs, if it's a drugs manufacturing company, you have to put up the license number, license of your drug license or cosmetic license. And then you have to mention the manufacturing date, batch number, and its expiry date. Ingredient declaration. So that is also very important with respect to the drugs, cosmetics, and drugs and cosmetics. And you should also mention direction for use. How do you use that? If it's something that has to be mixed with water and consumed, that has to be mentioned accordingly. And also if there is any content that is specifically put up, that warning also has to be clearly specified. And also, like as I mentioned, there are certain cautionary ingredients that the Drugs and Cosmetics Act have brought in. So those ingredients, if it's crossing the limit or if there is a presence of those ingredients, you should clearly mention. Just like allergen information in edible items, even under drugs, you have to clearly mention that particular content is there in this particular drug. Like, for example, in soaps, if you see the presence of hexachlorophene, this has to be clearly put up on the cosmetic, on the soap label. And if you take up the toothpaste also, if you take up any toothpaste, you will see if the presence of fluoride is there, that fluoride content has to be clearly labeled in the toothpaste. So this is a requirement under drugs. Generally, these are the requirements. Apart from it, there are other, they have also specified for, when you clearly, you can't just randomly put up every labels and claim that you have complied by it. There is a particular pattern also involved in in labeling, in putting up these information on the particular product or the packaging. So like it has to be legible, it has to be in, I mean, there is a particular, this is for the consumers to read. So it has to be legible for the consumers to read these matters. So there are certain standards that is upcoming with respect to the legibility of the details on each drug and cosmetics. So that is with respect to drugs and cosmetics. And moving on to the environment, the next. Okay, so the next layer after the product specific regulators is the environmental packaging compliance. So apart from the core packaging laws, apart from the product specific regulators, to the environment also there is certain duties that these companies have to abide by. So that's the main reason the packaging related requirements are clearly mentioned under environmental laws also. Now, moving on to that environment loss, first that comes up onto everyone's mind would be the plastic packaging. Am I right? Like I think most of the packaging that exists in India for each and every pre-packaged food would be the usage of plastic or in any forms, like plastic itself in any forms, maybe a recycled plastic, degradable plastic. So there are a lot of types of plastic involvement in the packaging industry. So the first comes the plastic waste management rules. So with respect to plastic waste management rules, you would be wondering, why is this coming up under?
Catherine, I think we lost you. Hello?
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
reconnecting. Just a moment. Am I audible now?
Yes, audible.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I was talking about the plastic waste management rules. With respect to plastic waste management rules, whatever your product is, even if it's a plastic product or not, if you are having a plastic packaging around it as well, there is an equal compliance under plastic management rules. So you might be thinking, maybe, see, my product is not using any plastic materials. But if you're selling out it in a plastic packaging, or at least you have a covering of any plastic material around it, then you are equally liable, just like other manufacturers of plastic materials or plastic products. So that's the main reason of including plastic waste management rules under the packaging compliances. So plastic waste management rules, as you all know, you are having a external producer responsibility. So when you have an external producer responsibility to dispose of all the plastic related packaging, you should procure a EPR registration. That is first thing. So here the onus is coming up on not just the manufacturer. Suppose if you're importing that particular product, or you're the brand owners, even if you're not manufacturing, your manufacturing is being taken up by, carried out by different manufacturers, but ultimately you're the brand owner. Suppose your product is being outsourced for manufacturing, but you're the brand owner. Under your brand, it's being sold, and you have the plastic packaging around your particular product, or if the entire product is inside a plastic material, then you have the equal liability here. So here the onus is upon the producers, the importers, and also the brand owners along with the manufacturers. So that is one compliance under plastic waste management. And if you have to so whatever recycling targets that is being set up by the EPR regulation and clearly provided for the plastic waste derived out of your product, you're supposed to take care of it. You have to achieve that. And for that means you have to collect the particular product that has been disposed of by the retailers as per the retailers or anybody, that has to be collected back, and you have to achieve your recycling targets. And apart from this, there is for under plastic waste management rules, the plastic identification. So how do you know that when if you wanted to recycle a product, first you should know that if that particular plastic packaging is recyclable. So for example, like you are a manufacturer of cream, okay, and then that particular cream is inside a squeezable plastic packaging. A squeezable, you would have seen the creams, if you squeeze you get the cream, so that is made up of plastic. So in that case, you should know that if that particular uh, uh, there is different, for each type of plastic, there is a different process existing to recycle it. So to know that, before, when you make the product itself, there has to be a label provided on it, so that once the waste has been disposed, you will be able to easily identify what type of plastic it is. So that's the main reason behind bringing up a mandatory requirement of putting up a plastic identification code or marking on the packaging. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are a manufacturer of a cream or a face wash, and it's inside a squeezable bottle, okay, which is made up of plastic. So all those, as per the plastic waste management rule, they have categorized categorized those type of bottles as LDPE, which is a particular marking that has been identified, that would be put up on that, so that it is easier to understand that is under that LDPE category. And there are certain beverages also, if you see the bottles, Pepsi PET bottles and all, there would be a put up, and there would be identification marked as PET. Then they know that it is a PET classified packaging. Similar way, there is PVC, like PVC pipes and all, you would have seen, it's categorized as PVC. So that is a identification mark prescribed by the authority to know that which particular waste is this plastic falling under. So like that, there are a lot of classification that the authority have brought up, like LDP, low density, and HDP also, that's high density. Then PET bottle, PET. Then we have PVC, and there is also a category of other, where all the other things would be put up. So these identification mark also has to be clearly provided. Apart from it, if you see, e-waste management rules is the next coming up into picture. So this is applicable to all the electronic goods. Like even if you are a manufacturer of a electrical equipment, okay, like electrical or anything that requires that is electric in nature, will fall under e-waste management rules. And that also includes your medical devices, non-contaminated medical devices. So those, even if you're here again, the producers, the manufacturers of the electronic equipments would be the owner of these type of compliances. So here, whoever is the manufacturers, if you have an electrical equipment, you are supposed to procure a EPR, the extensive producer responsibilities, and there has to be a clear disposal instructions put up on that. That is one labeling requirements put up, that this has to be disposed in such manner that instruction has to be labeled. And also there is a recycling symbol that has to be put up on every product, that this is a recyclable product that has to be put up. And if there is any particular hazardous substances inside the particular electronic equipment, then there is that declaration that has to be put up. And if a particular hazardous substance is crossing a particular limit, then that limit also has to be clearly declared. So that is with respect to e-waste. And now if we move on to the battery waste, again here, the producers and the importers have the liability. They have to procure the EPR registration. Here as well, the recycling symbols has to be brought up, and the disposal instructions also has to be brought up. And with respect to the EPR registration numbers, as such, it can be mentioned. Now, the government also have brought up a option of putting up a QR code or a barcode of those EPR registration number upon your packaging, so that these labeling requirements either has to be put up on a, suppose if it's a battery, in the case of battery, on the battery or the packaging of the battery, or if it's a very bulk quantity, then on the bulk quantity on the ultimate packaging also it has to be put up. So every type of packaging, every layers of packaging that is involved with respect to a battery, all these details has to be clearly provided. And if there is any particular chemical symbol, a chemical that has been involved, and it is going above a particular limit, then that chemical symbol also has to be clearly provided. This is with respect to battery waste management rules. And also there is compliances under chemical rules also, like there is a rules falling under Environment Protection Act called Manufacture, Storage and Import of Hazardous Chemical Rules. So under this, with respect to any hazardous chemicals or any chemicals, there is a separate list of labeling requirements. That is like you have to put up that hazard pictograms on it, and the what is that particular chemical, that identification or classification also has to be brought up. That identity has to be brought up, and the safety precautions and the instructions, warnings, and also emergency contact details have to be clearly provided in case of any to avoid all the accidents that is caused out of the chemicals. So all the precautionary measures plus the mandatory requirements have to be listed as per the chemical rules. So this is just a few of them, a few of the compliances that I have listed out. Now, if you see there, now if you go through the particular law as such, there would be innumerous things specifically that is applicable to your product. It depends, again, it varies from one product to another. This is a very general one that I have given. Now I would like to move on to the last level of the very last level of layer of the packaging compliance in India, that is the quality and safety standards. Now we have reached that level that all the outside part, like the content related stuffs, have been clearly provided. But now what happens with the standards that they have to abide by with respect to the packaging materials that they're using? So whatever packaging materials that they're using, there is a specific quality safety standards that has to be abided. Mainly, if you take up the law that is backing up this thing, is the Bureau of Indian Standards Act. And a few of the product-oriented compliances are also there. Specifically under for food product, the quality and safety standards are also mentioned under FSSAI. Similar way in drugs and cosmetics also, these similar compliances are compliances related to quality and safety standards are clearly mentioned. But in a broad way, Bureau of Indian Standards Act is the main authority. Standards is the main authority and the legislation that is regulating it. So any particular product, which is being listed under the schedule under Bureau of Indian Standards Act, for which a mandatory certification is required, then they have to procure a mandatory BIS certification, like any electrical equipments, maybe pressure cooker. Then there is a separate certification, IS marks and standard marks, that is required to be procured and to be labeled by each and every product. Now, like moving on to like the standard marks that has to be brought in, like there is this ISI marks, then compulsory registration scheme. If that particular product is falling under compulsory registration schemes, then they have to put up that logo, that particular mark, CRS mark on it. If it is falling under ISI, then it has to be put up ISI. Hallmark is basically for all the precious metals like gold and all. That hallmarking also has to be provided. So that standard mark has to be clearly put up on the products, relevant products, applicable products. And the license or registration number they have procured, that also has to be displayed on the product. And moving on to the product standard compliance, that is extensively brought up under Bureau of Indian Standards Act. For each and every product, there is a separate IS standards which has to be considered as a guideline, and then the same thing has to be while you manufacture the product, or also with respect to the packaging also, that standard has to be taken care under BIS. I'll give an example, or maybe a few of the compliances, like for packaged drinking water, which I've just mentioned. There is a BIS certification that is mandatory, and that BIS mark and license number on that bottle label has to be clearly displayed. And there is a plastic standards that has to be used. Like for example, for under FSSAI, as I mentioned, for drinking water, it is clear that it should be colorless, odorless, and it should be under a transparent bottle. That's the main reason you will see water bottle, the drinking water bottle, any brand it is. I'm just calling out certain names like Aquafina, Bisleri. Everything is put up inside a transparent water bottle, because this is a mandatory requirement under the FSSAI packaging rules. And there is a specific plastic standards, like the particular bottle has to be in a particular standards. So there is a IS standards that is being prescribed for just for drinking water. And like I mentioned about the PET, the plastic identification details also has to be displayed. And ISI marked products, like if you take up the pressure cookers, helmets, cement bags, etc., these are ISI marked products. So these are categorized like that. So that ISI mark has to be provided, the license number, the relevant IS number also has, standard number also has to be put up on those. You will see that on every pressure cooker, the IS number being written or the IS mark being provided under each things. And also with respect to electronics and IT products like mobiles, laptops, LED lights, any devices, be it medical devices or any electronic goods. These are considered as, like I mentioned, compulsory registration, that is falling under compulsory registration scheme. So since it's falling under that, that BIS CRS logo have to be clearly displayed, and the registration number, the model number, manufacturer name, country of origin, all those details have to be clearly brought up. These are the requirements brought in under BIS. So these are very basic ones. There are other requirements listed under BIS. To your understanding, this is not just one thing that is. Now you would understand there is a big ecosystem itself revolving around one particular product. Until now, what I have explained is for a single product, there are multiple multiple legislations involved. But ultimately, your product is seen as just a product by the consumer, but behind it, there's a big ecosystem which is not visible to the consumer. Only when an issue or a non-compliance come from your end or caused from your end, maybe the ingredient issues or any particular incident happens, that's when consumer gets to know that you have non-complied by it. So that's the main reason why I was saying that it's very big. The compliance system for packaging compliance, just for packaging itself, is a huge punch. Uh, I would like to give recent changes or recent reforms that have been. I don't know if this has come across to you. If you have came across these changes, suppose if you are a manufacturer of any of the products which I am just going to mention, just think if you have come up, if you have read about it, or if even if you have read about it, if you have made that changes in your product. So first, the very first one is the battery waste. If you're a manufacturer of battery waste, there is a recent changes that has been brought up under the authority under battery waste management rules, that you have an option of fixing QR code and barcode of EPR registration number on the label. Not, usually you print the EPR number on your label. Instead of that, there is an option that has come up, like you can put up a QR code and barcode of your registration number. And also, if there are two particular chemicals. If it is in a lesser quantity, you don't have to put it up on the label. There is an exemption for it as well. So that is two, three things that has come up as an update under battery-based management rules. The next one is the 100% no food labels. This was creating a big chaos in India, among the manufacturers, among the consumers. Everybody were lifting up this issue because there were a lot of companies bringing up things stating that this is 100% extracted out of this particular flour or this particular fruit. This is having 100% 100% of 100% extracted out of the hibiscus flower, so and so. So this 100% thing was being brought up under most of the products, and that was creating a big misleading promotion to consumers. Usually not every consumer are very keen on looking towards the ingredient list and see that no, whatever they're claiming on the front of the pack, that is 100%, is not the same as in the ingredient list. So that's the main reason it has misled a lot of consumers. So that's the main reason the government have brought up the clarification stating that 100% claim on the food labels shouldn't be brought in. It has to be discontinued. That claims shouldn't be there in any of the packaging or not even in the promotional content. So that was one requirement that the clarification that the government has brought up. And ban on misleading ORS product. This was also a big issue recently, that there is a WHO approved ORS formula already existing. Okay, so but then there were a lot of companies which has brought up similar kind of products claiming that it is ORS. And that has caused a lot of hazardous effects, lot of impacts and side effects to a lot of consumers. That's one of the reasons, stating that whichever companies, apart from the companies who are using the WHO approved formulas, should discontinue using the word ORS on the labeling. So that was a mandatory requirement brought up under the on the label. So that again is a labeling requirement for food product. And again, this is a reform that they are the drugs authority have brought are planning to planning to bring in this reforms, but it's still under the committee review. Like if you see, if you take up a tablet or a strip of tablets, in few of the tablets, the expiry date or the date of manufacturing is not visible, or it's not legible at all. This is one instance that I was talking few minutes back. It is not very legible. It might be would have worn off, or sometimes it's written in a font which is not very legible to a common man. So that's the main reason the committee wanted to review that date readability and then expiry date readability, and it is still under review. So there might be a new revamp that would happen with respect to how this expiry date has to be. This is just a caution to all the drugs and cosmetic manufacturers. There might be a labeling revamp, not no, in near future. So this is one new update, and this is again a label. Sorry, just a moment. So this is again another requirement, labeling clarification that the FSSAI authority has come up. Like you would have come across a lot of uh, drinks in the market, like hibiscus drink, then what all the other all the other type of herbal drinks. So you would also seen on the labels that it is put up as tea, herbal tea or hibiscus tea, or any other flower, which is any other drink which is extracted out of any flour, has been called as labeled as tea inside on the particular label of the product. But FSSI have brought in this clarification that only the only the drink which has the content of Camellia sinensis can be called as tea. That means the actual tea plant, right? That tea plant has this particular content. The tea plant is called the Camellia sinensis. So if you're not including this particular product inside your drink, you cannot call any type of, even if it's a herbal, if it is extracted out of any flower or leaf, if you don't add this particular product in it, you can't call it as tea. At that instance, it becomes only a drink, not a tea. So there were a lot of claims like that. That's the main reason there was a big revamp of lot of such products of such companies who are manufacturing such herbal drinks, which they have labeled before as tea, but they had to revamp it to just drink. Otherwise, their product restructuring has to happen. So that's the clarification that FSSAI has brought in. This is another update. So this has been happening, and now also it's being clearly looked up into by the authorities, and proper inspections are going on. Products are being seized. A lot of actions has been taken up with respect to these products. And now I would like to point out one particular scenario, real time scenarios that had happened in India. I'm not sure if you have seen these in the newspapers. There was a legal metrology enforcement case that costed 1 lakh penalty upon the company. So this was merely very if they have complied by it, then the cost of compliance would be much lower than the cost of, the consequence that they have come across. Like if you here, the issue was that this particular company was selling almonds packet, and it was found one day that one of the customer found that it claimed it to have 500 grams of almond inside the packet, but actually when you weighed it, it was only around 350 grams. And there was a consumer complaint that was filed in the district consumer dispute resolution forum. And the action what they have taken, the legal metrology department under the legal metrology package commodity have taken was that there was a proper mandate of having the pre-packeted commodities must accurately declare and contain the net quantity printed on the package. So if you are mentioning the net quantity on that particular product, then the content inside also has to abide by it. Like if you're mentioning 500 grams, the entire weight of that product has to be 500 grams. You can't give lesser content and put up a different net quantity upon the label. So that's a mere a big misleading that had happened. It is underweight pack. It becomes an underweight packaged commodities, and what the consequence was, the district consumer forum imposed a penalty of around 1 lakh to the on the retailer for selling underweight packaged goods, and this is considered as an unfair trade practices. So this is something that has come up as a issue for the retailer. So this is one just compliance that I would like to focus on, because here the cost of compliances becomes much lesser than the cost of here. The cost of non-compliance is becoming much higher than the mere cost of compliance, which the one, if you could have just spent maybe around what few pennies, instead of that you are spending lakhs and lakhs. And also apart from it, there is a big business risk and consequence that the company, like the brand reputation, everything is of loss. So if you take up the cost of compliances, you could have just spent maybe for initial things, you could have mentioned you have to spend only a few pennies with respect to registration, license, maybe consultants, for just consultants, regulatory tracking, audits and all. You have to spend only a few mere amount from your pocket. But if you don't comply by it, what is the biggest consequence that is coming up? Here, if you see, the biggest consequence is mainly the penalty itself. Under legal metrology itself, there would be a big penalty, just like what we have seen, around 1 lakh. FSSAI, it would be 10 lakh if there is any consequence or a non-compliance, EPR issues, BIS violations. All those are costing a huge revenue loss. Apart from revenue loss, also there is a big stake upon your brand reputation. The reputation that you have built so far is all at stake. So and your if you're a exporter or an importer, your import ban would come up, export ban, reputational damage. Your particular establishment itself might get closure notice. So there would be investment issues. There are a huge list of non-compliance risk that is involved with respect to just one single compliance issue. So here, what I am trying to point out is, you could have merely complied by one particular compliance. Instead of that, why do you have to go up to a level where that is creating a big issue or big cost to your entire company, both at the financial level plus your business level as well, business reputation level as well. So here, if you violate, suppose your product is a food related product, you don't just violate EPR, legal metrology, FSSAI related compliances. You might would have missed out on the multiple other regulatory regulations that has been prescribed for that particular product. So it's like a chain. Like, just if you violate one, the other gets affected. So that's when I would like to point out one instance which I have come across recently. Like my friend was explaining it to me that he is into a manufacturing of a product. He was manufacturing a food product, and he have manufactured the based on the labeling requirements which FSSI have clearly mentioned. He have put up, and that's when once he manufactured it, he released it to all the retailers, to all the distributors, and that's when he came across that legal metrology have brought in another revamping, but that was intimated much before, which he missed out. Now, what happens to his product? Now, he came to know about it only when there was an inspection in one of the retail outlet and his product got seized. Over there, what is he losing? He lost his revenue of labeling. He lost his revenue labeling cost, and also the time cost, the product seizure time. That particular time gap mean he have lost the revenue that could have come up to him. So all those loss, and also apart from it, there is a reputation loss. So all those instances could have been avoided if he came to know about all the list of compliances that is applicable to him, even if it's a new compliances. So every now and then, FSSI department, legal metrology department, and drugs cosmetic department, every now and then they're releasing one or the other updates and amendments. If you're not proactive with all the updates and amendments, the manufacturing cost is going to rise, and it's going to cross the budget that you have estimated for your product. So just to avoid all those things, it was always better if you have a particular proper regulatory tracking team along with you, or a consultant, or maybe a tool that helps you out to take care of all these matters. So uh, at the instances where only when a particular incident happen in your establishment, I the specific action is being taken from your end. That's when I would like to point out how do we build to the very next slide. How do we build a effective compliance system in your establishment? The very basic pattern, the basic step that you can take is to convert your way of system from reactive compliance to proactive compliance. By reactive compliance, what I mean is there are last minute renewals, panic driven audits, and maybe fragmented, uncoordinated systems. There is a very inconsistent regulatory adherence to all the compliances, all the legislations. So the risk of fines, penalties, and factory shutdowns is going to be very high because everything is last minute. You're not aware of anything. You don't have a particular consultant to handle of things. Everything is panic driven. So everything becomes, the cost is going to be on the higher side if it's very last minute things. And the risk involved in getting a non-compliance notice is also on higher side. So when you shift from a reactive compliance to a proactive compliance, where you have a regular maintenance and periodic reviews happening, systems are always up to date and you have a integrated compliance framework where it's not just your system doesn't just track your compliances, but also helps in taking care of these compliances. Like suppose if you have to procure certain licenses, you might not have time for all those things. You should have a proper team to take care of things. And also by proper team, I meant proper experts to handle of these things. So if you don't have all these things, you will again fall into a reactive compliance zone. You should always be inspection ready company. Wherever, there in those kind of system, you will have very reduced risk, and the efficiency level is also very high. So here in that circumstances, you are building a very effective compliance system where the risk involvement and the reputation is all saved. that's when we have to see what we have to build is a structured EHS services, a very, a strategic shift, I would say. Like you have to, like, from last minute filing, like from firefighting, you have to go into a predictive compliance. You should know that this particular compliance is coming up in this month. You should always be aware of all those things, and you should take actions just before it falls due. So that's the very first step that you have to take to get into a structured EHS services. And the second thing is from documentation burden to legal defense. So when you have a big documents that has to be documentation that has to be carried out, you don't have to be scared of the documentation work involved in complying by all this EHS laws. You should always be abided by all those requirements, and you should always have a proof of such compliances as a legal defense. And moving and the very next step is the individual dependency to system on ownership. Like you shouldn't depend on one particular person to carry out all the matters under EHS laws. Just like I mentioned, EHS laws are very much scattered, so you need a particular proper ownership to be put up, a proper system to be carried out in your establishment to take care of the matters that is such widespread and extensive. And from cost center to value protection, you shouldn't hesitate at any point of time that you are spending some money for EHS laws. You should spend if for the required things under your establishment. Like for compliance is something that has to be handled in a very important manner. Like EHS, as I mentioned, is something that you have to spend and full has for which you have to budget your cost accordingly. So your at the end, your brand is being valued and it is being protected. So budgeting your amount to such EHS compliance system is much required. Just like you put up a cost for, you have a budget for any other laws, like for labor laws, for finance laws, you have a particular budget to comply by it. Just like it, EHS has much more importance than all those laws because it's widespread and it is not in the hands of one single person. And the very next step is the compliance to competitive advantage. You have to this is something that this is something that you have to as I mentioned, it is always an advantage to be on a safer side rather than becoming a scapegoat to all those inspectors. And as I mentioned, from reactive culture to safety culture. So here, when you are moving from a reactive compliances, you are stepping onto a very safe zone. The company becomes in a very safe zone, and anytime when your inspector comes and visit your establishment, you will be completely on a safer zone. So that's when I would like to briefly showcase one such system which we have curated for such establishment, which we find that there is a need of such framework in India right now, which we couldn't find that is existing currently in India, where we are focusing on EHS compliance framework, not just as a regulatory tracking tool, but along with a services. So when you have a particular licenses to be procured, registers to be maintained, returns to be filed, displays to be put up on your establishment, there is a dedicated compliance team, on-ground team available in our establishment where they takes care of all these matters. Along with it, you're getting a product where all these compliances would be easily tracked, and there would be a audit ready, dashboard ready for you to showcase it to all the inspectors. So here, what we are offering is EHS compliance services plus technology, which is the effective at this point of time, which is the effective compliance system for your establishment. Because at this point of time, just tech alone will work only as a monitoring. It becomes only a tracking system. Like if you take up an example, if you go into a gym, just having a fitness just having a fitness watch in your hand doesn't make you fit. You should first go to a gym. You have to start exercising. You should have a particular trainer who helps you out to do it. And you have to take up actions. You have to go on to the ground and start exercising. Only then you become fit. Just like that, here you just having a tracker, online compliance tracker, would only serve the purpose of a fitness watch. But having a EHS services along with the tracker or the technology would help you to sustain the effective compliance system. So the main benefit of having this entire framework is that you are being uh, escaping from the business risk exposures that is arising out of non-compliances, and it acts as a repository of all your compliance documents. It eases compliance during your due diligence and audit. So whatever audit you have, you have a proper compliance documentation in hand, and everything would be up to date with respect to the compliances which is being carried out by our team. You don't even have to bother about all those things, and you are building a resilience through structural changes at attrition of employees. And at the last, you are being safeguarded. The board of directors are being safeguarded from every penal consequences. Your establishment is saved from all the closures. Your brand reputation is being protected. There is no much revenue that has been lost. So the budget that you have fixed for the compliance of EHS would be easily enough to save you from all the cost that is arising for non-compliance of it. So with that, I would like to end today's session. I hope it was beneficial for you all. Please post your questions if you have any. I would be happy to explain it to you. Yes, I hope. Is there
Yeah.
any questions for me?
Currently, we are having one question. So the question is, if there is any
Am I
information
audible?
about, yeah, you're audible. So the question is,
Shreya, I think
if,
you're on mute. Sorry, I was on mute. Tell me.
yeah, you can hear me, right? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Tell me.
Okay. Is there any information about wooden and plywood box and pellets which are used for packaging and export purpose?
Hmm.
So this is one question.
I didn't understand the question.
Uh, the time when you were addressing about the packaging industry, so
Hmm.
there's one person who wanted to understand, is there anything specific about
Hmm.
wooden and plywood box and
Hmm.
pallets
Hmm. So
for use for
is it
packaging and export?
I mean, wooden packaging, is it specifically for any particular product? Then it depends on that. Like, for example, if it's for plant or any particular, any particular chemicals or anything like that, then it depends on that. Otherwise, there's nothing much. Maybe there is a certain labeling for the particular product that you are putting up inside. Based on that, you have to take up. Like generally, this is like the heat treatment related stuffs and all those labeling requirements. Just let me know if what is the product that has been put up inside. Like usually it is
Okay.
like it has to be heat treated, or maybe that IBPC mark has to be provided. That's all. Just let me know if there is any particular product that you are
Okay.
specifying to.
So,
Otherwise, one sec. Otherwise, generally, the general declaration is always there. Like if it's a pre-packeted food, even if it's a wooden packet under legal metrology, that's there. And also with respect to all those product, then otherwise the other compliances comes up. Like if it's BIS also, there's a particular standards that is being brought up under for wooden products. Again, just let me know. You can post it as a separate mail or something. We can elaborate it with you. What product are you putting up inside it? It depends on that.
yeah. So, I'll just ask Mr. Ajinkya to specify the product. So, it will be
Mm.
better for us to answer.
Yes.
Then there is a second question. If
Mm.
we are dispatching auto parts to
Mm.
tier 2 suppliers in carton
Mm.
box having plastic bags, is EPR under plastic packaging applicable on us? Is it
Ye-
applicable?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. So plastic, whatever your product, whatever it is, if you have if you're a plastic pack manufactured product also, along with it, if you have a plastic packaging around it, you are having EPR registration because you are the producers of that particular product. So for a plastic packaging as well, there is a particular compliances for you. EPR registration has to be taken up accordingly. Yeah.
Okay. Then a person has asked, is there any information about candle packaging and regulatory?
What packaging?
Candle,
Candle.
candle wax.
Wax. As far as I know, I think it's a general thing is there. Legal metrology is there. Apart from it, depends on what you use inside. I think I'm not actually sure of it. I have to look into about the wax related stuff. Let me see. Let me anyway. You also specify what type of contents are you using inside, and apart from what candle is it, like soy candle or any particular specifications are there? Accordingly, please mention. I'll get back to you on this. I'm sorry I couldn't answer detail. Just post a message. Accordingly, I'll look into.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll take the next question. What is the validity or term of the certificate used by legal metrology department to an organization or company as a packer?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll repeat my question.
Mm,
What is the validity
mm,
or term of certificate used by legal metrology department to
mm.
organization or company as a packer?
As a packer, I think it's 1 year.
Okay, so
You're a
after 1 year they have to
manufacturer.
renew.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. Could you
Mm.
help us with the licenses or registration for packaged commodity listed on e-commerce platform?
You're a manufacturer or you're a e-commerce? What industry is it? Packaging. What is
Yeah.
the industry?
So registration for packaged commodities listed on e-commerce platform.
Again, it depends on the product. I would like to say this again and again. It depends on the product also. Like if it's a food related product, then FSSAI license has to be procured. Even if it's whatever product it is being packaged, depends on the product also. I'm not just saying it's just that. But if it's a food related, then if you see FSSAI would come up, legal metrology would come up, licenses you meant, then the EPR registrations of plastic. If you're using plastic, then plastic waste management would come up. Then all the compliances under EHS would come up. Like if you're that again depends on. Suppose if you are a manufacturer of a food product, your unit details also is required at this point of time. Like if your unit manufacturing has a canteen, then a separate license has to be procured. If you're a food product, as I mentioned, if you don't have a food or product also, your establishment details also have to be provided. Along with it, your food product. So it depends on your product, your manufacturing unit, wherever it is being manufactured. If it's an imported product, then it depends on that. Again, that is the main conditions that has to be looked into. Like I mentioned, food product means FSSAI license has to be procured. Legal metrology, if you have a verification, if you have a weight being used, then legal metrology verification and stamping comes up. Then if you have boiler in your establishment, Boiler Act registration has to come about. Boiler Act registration has to come up. Then if you see, there are other licenses like if you take up the if you have your own motor vehicles, then registrations of that particular motor vehicles comes up. So even if it's on e-commerce, there are a lot of, if you're the manufacturers and it's on your own e-commerce in your e-commerce website, then there are multiple things that has to be taken care. Same way with other products also. If it's a drugs and cosmetics also, then Drugs and Cosmetics Act, under that there is a license. Similar way for each and every product, there is a separate set of licenses. Each and every type of manufacturing unit, there is a separate. Suppose if it's a retail outlet, fire and OC related, lift, if you have a lift and OC, there are a lot of set of compliances. So please specify your product and the details of your manufacturing store. Accordingly, we can get back to you. Please post it accordingly.
Yeah, so she's posted that she's a manufacturer, and apart
Manufacturer of
from
what?
that, she's written electrical.
Electrical. Again, for electrical, again, you have to procure for every electrical installation, every devices, there is API registration that you have to take up under e-waste. And if you have any electrical installations in your establishment from CEAG, Chief Electrical Inspectorate, you have to procure those. And like I mentioned, if you have a canteen, then FSSAI licenses has to be brought up. So registrations or licenses based on the occupancy. And then if you are having any chemicals being used in your establishment, hazardous chemical rules under Environment Protection Act, petroleum, if you're having a DG set, then petroleum, peso, if you're using petroleum products, and if it's going above the quantity, DG NOC I mentioned, and if you're using any petroleum products, then peso license. If you have any static pressure vessels, then under Explosive Act, you have to take the separate license. If you're having gas cylinder as well, you have to procure a gas cylinder a license for filling or storing the gas cylinders. So fire, as I mentioned, fire and OC, then lift, if you have a lift and OC. Like that, there are innumerous NOCs that is coming up based on your manufacturing unit, the existence, the square meter, the activities carried out in your establishment, your product, the waste that is being generated, the treatment plans that is being set up. So based on that, there are multiple NOCs. So the ones that I've just mentioned are a few of them. Yes. Any more
Okay.
question?
Previously, the candle question. So for that, the person has said the candle material are palm and paraffin wax with fragrance content.
So what is her question?
So
What does she want to know?
his question was, is there any information about candle packaging and regulatory?
So if you, I'll specifically, since he mentioned about the paraffin content in it, so there is a particular labeling requirement under BIS and under legal metrology rules that these particular paraffin content, you have to label it on the label. It has to be clearly mentioned that this contain paraffin. And another thing is if you're not, like, under legal metrology, all those general ones, net quantity, manufacturer details, all those MRP details, all those things has to be clearly mentioned. Apart from it, for paraffin wax alone, there is a BIS standards that has been cleared. I'm not sure the standards, what is the number, but there is a specific BIS standards. So you have to be the standards. Usually it's basically like, it should be all it should be, I think it has to be removed. There shouldn't be any impurities, or there shouldn't be any oil content, acidity, and you should also mention on the label that it's not for consumption, not for food, cosmetics, or medicinal use. That particular product or details has to be clearly provided. So there are certain requirements like that stated under BIS standards and legal metrology. Apart from it, to my understanding, there is nothing more than that. Not like food product FSSAI, there's no separate compliances for candles, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, there is there is under legal metrology that is there. Apart from it, under BIS, there is a separate standards for these wax standards. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll take the next question. Now, this person has said, I'm having confusion on recyclability of laminates, like our
Of
laminates,
mm,
like met pet based laminate
I didn't get you.
comes under,
Okay, I think I'll read it one sec.
yeah.
Where is this question?
So it's by Mr. Roshan.
One sec, let me. Where in the chat box is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
You can scroll from below.
One sec, let me just find it.
Yeah.
I'm having confusion on recyclability of laminates, like on based laminates comes under recycling, and foil based laminates are based laminates fall in the category of sustainable. See, if I'm not wrong, it is both multi-layered plastics, right, under PW, plastic waste management rules. So uh, it's actually depends on if it's not about sustainable or unsustainable. It's actually depending on the design, like if it's a mono or multi-layer. At least this is what I'm understanding. Like the recyclability status is based on if what is the kind of layer upon it, like if it's a mono layer or a multi-layer. So if it's a mono layer, then pet marking would be come up, so because it's recyclable. But if it's a if I'm not wrong, it's like multi-layer, it becomes that MRFs as dry waste. So I think so I think for foil, a foil laminates is basically non-recyclable if that plastic streams are like, if it's been contaminated or something like that. So I think it's totally based on the layer of the usage and lamination. So I think the MedPet would be more sustainable. So there's no official documents and all on that. Depends on if it's what layer, how much layer is being used in that particular product. I will have to look into that. Just give me the details of it. We will look into it and get back to you on this.
Okay.
So yeah.
So the next question is about industrial personal equipment for manufacturers. For example, products, helmet, safety, shoes, mask, and gloves. If there is any BIS standard or number of packaging of personal protective equipment
Protective equipment, if there is any BIS standards,
or
come again.
number of packaging of personal protective equipment.
No, depends again on whatever personal equipment it is. It depends on what type of equipment it is. Like you mentioned, helmet. Again, there is a particular BIS standards for it, and for all those. What else? What you were saying? What is the other
So,
ones? Like hand.
helmet,
If
safety
you're
shoes.
using. Yeah, for each and every product, there is a BIS standards. Like especially protective equipments, there is a specific. Like if you take up, if I'm I think for helmets, there would be a BIS standards, and hand gloves or something like that, safety gloves. That depends on the material that they're using. If it's like a rubber or a electrical gloves, based on that, the standards differ, changes. And respiratory protections like the mask and all, again, for that also there is a specific standard. So for each and everything, there is a BIS standards. I can't recall the names of the standards. I'm not wrong. I'm sorry for that. But there are for each and if you specify the thing, you will be able to, I'll just suggest you to go to the BIS standards, the website, BIS websites. Over there, put up your product name. They will clearly specify the IS standards for it. It is clearly mentioned on the BIS thing. So for each and every products, depends on the materials that they're using. Since you have named it as protective equipments, generally it includes that mask, then the gloves, then the helmets, and maybe the for the body, there is a particular suit that is set up for each and every thing that has to be used for a protective in a manufacturing unit or a healthcare facility. There's a separate standards for it. Yes. Any more questions?
Okay. So these are the questions which we are having.
Okay.
Now, I have also put email address, that is marketing@aprajita.com, so that the ones who need further clarification, they can reach out to us with their questions.
So in this short time, I'll be only able to brief you, give a very brief answer. And also I'm not so clear with whatever products you are putting up. So I can surely get back to you if you give a little more detail on the questions that you have asked. So I've given a very general answer to you all. And since I don't know much about your products or the activities that is carried out, to be more specific, please pose a question under in marketing@abrazda.com and I would answer to you. I'll give you a proper answer based on the activities. Or our sales team can get back to you about it. Yes.
Yeah.
I hope
So
it was it was it
it
was
was
a
a very valuable session. See, the details which you told about each and every manufacturing and packaging industries. So that was useful for us even to understand about the labeling pattern and everything. So thank you very much, Ms. Catherine, for sharing this insightful and thought proactive things about the packaging compliance industry. I also thank all our participants for joining today, and I would like to see you all on emails having your questions posted so we can address you one on one with furthermore clarity. Please reach out us to the email address that has been given in the chat box.
thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.